white lips, pale face, breathing in snowflakes, burned lungs, sour taste. Lights gone, days end, struggling to pay rent, long nights, strange men. And they say she's in the class 18, stuck in her daydream, been this way since 18, but lately her face seems slowly sinking, wasting, crumbling like pastries. And they scream the worst things in life come free to us, 'cause we are just under the upper hand, go mad for a couple grams. She don't wanna go outside tonight, and in a pipe she flies to the motherland, or sells love to another man. It's too cold outside for angels to fly, for angels to fly.
Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to play the A-Team by Ed Sheeran, and this is going to be the live room version. If you look it up on YouTube, A-Team live room, it's a bit simpler this way. He's just strumming, he's not doing a finger picking pattern or anything like that. The chords are all the same though, so if you find that you're struggling with the finger picking version, it might be a good idea to learn this version first, since it's the exact same thing except the rhythm's a bit simpler. You know, we're just strumming a pattern. And before we go too far, I'm going to be doing this lesson with a capo on the 2nd fret. If you listen to the original recording, he's using a capo on the 2nd fret. In the live room version, he has the capo on the 1st fret. It makes it a little bit easier to sing since the key is a tiny bit lower. You could play this without a capo at all, you know, and maybe 10 years down the road, Ed Sheeran's voice will lower and he'll be playing it without a capo. Who knows? But for now, I'm going to have my capo on the 2nd fret because that's the same key as the original recording. And if you want to follow along with this lesson and for it to all sound the same, I recommend you do that as well. And we're going to start off with the chord shapes. Now, if you find that you need any extra help with the chord shapes, please check out our free ebook. There's a link down below. It's free to all of our subscribers, and it goes in depth over all the chord shapes, chord switching, all that stuff. All the basic chord shapes, I should say. There's like a million chords, but you know, it goes over the most essential ones, and it just kind of helps you build that solid foundation. So if you find that maybe I'm going a bit too quick, it's because I really went mega in depth for the ebook on every little detail that a beginner should know about these chords. So please check that out if you need any extra help. Otherwise, we're going to start off. I'm going to show you the chord shapes to the first section of the song. Our first chord is G. Then we have D over F sharp, and I'm going to leave my 3rd finger down. That's really, really important. Then I get my 1st finger here on the 2nd fret of the lowest string, skip, skip, 2nd fret. And then the top string should be muted just based on the angle of your hand. See, I'm kind of, if I have my, muting the strings naturally, not even trying. So we have our G chord, leave our 3rd finger down, get our D over F sharp chord. Then we have an E minor chord, really simple, basic, open chord, and then a C chord. And in this tune, we do a lot of switching from E minor to C, so I recommend just working that out. You leave your middle finger down and pivot to that C chord. That's a shortcut that'll help you make that switch a lot more efficiently. So that's it, just 4 chord shapes for the first section. Now let's play through the chords in order, downstrokes only. So if there's no rhythm yet, we're just going to keep it nice and simple, starting off on a G chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. staying on that G chord. And here it's 2 Gs, 2 D over F sharps, so make sure you can play the chords in order, just downstrokes only like we just did. That's the first step before we can move on and learn any of the cooler little bits, you know. So make sure that you can just play the chords. We need the foundation to be there. And when you're ready, we can move on and take a look at the strumming pattern. It goes like this. So I'll do it slowly. And you can do this with a pick. I'm using my fingers kind of like a pick. That's the way that Ed Sheeran plays a lot. His first finger is kind of like his pick, and he can do all sorts of cool percussive sounds like that. This one, really simple. We're just going root, down, up, and we can divide that into 2 parts to make it a lot easier. First is root, down. So when I'm doing a root, it's really just like a smaller stroke that just hits the lower strings. And the second half is miss, up, down, up. So on beat 3, I'm just missing all the strings, and then I go up, down, up. We combine it, we end up with root, down, miss, up, down, up. I'll play it really slow, 3 and 4 and. And you can do it open like that, or you can kind of bring your hand down at the same time. And you'll want to go between those as you play the tune. You know, sometimes it's nice to do it open. You know, I'm just leaving the palm of my hand lightly touching the strings. Kind of comes up and down. And you want to get a feel for the rhythm first before you really take a look at that. But in case you're already at that point where this rhythm is easy for you and you want to take it to the next step, that's how you do it, is just by a little bit of palm muting as you do your strokes. So work that strumming pattern out over each chord. I know that's not the same thing as going through the entire song, but that's what good guitarists do. They practice the little bits over and over again. They ask themselves, what am I weakest at? What do I need the most work on? What could sound better? What's already sounding good? Maybe I won't practice that as much. You know, you have to ask yourself these questions, and that'll help you dig deeper and actually start sounding like a real musician. You know, that's what makes the difference. If you just want to plow through the song and sound mediocre, that's totally up to you. But if you actually want to sound good, you do have to dig in and do some repetitive exercises. You have to train your hand to do the same motion the same way every time. You know, it's not just going to work out magically, especially when you're in a performance situation, because then you get kind of nervous and stuff. You need to train your body to do these motions to make the right sounds. That's the only way to get better. Anyways, heavy talk aside, you know, let's get back to having some fun. Now, before we put this all together, the chords and the strumming pattern, there's one part where we need to change the strumming a little bit. And that's when we have G and D over F sharp sharing the same measure. You know, there's 2 beats of G and then 2 beats of D over F sharp. And for that, we're going to change up our pattern a little bit. Over G, we're going to go root, up, down, up. And then for D over F sharp, same thing. Root, up, down, up. So all together. Now that we have all our stuff together, we got our chords, we got our strumming pattern, we're going to put that together and we're going to play through the first section of this tune. 1, 2, 3, 4. To learn the next part, the pre-chorus, we need 2 new chord shapes. Our first one is A minor 7. And A minor 7 is really simple. If you start off with a C chord, you just take off one finger. There you go. I like to mute the low string with my thumb, just lightly over the top. It's A minor 7. The other new chord shape for this one has a crazy name, D, add 9, add 11. But it's really, once again, super simple. It's just a C chord dragged up 2 frets. So to play this chord, all we have to do is start with C, and then we go 1, 2. Make sure we're muting the low string. And then we end up with our D, add 9, add 11 chord. All right, this section is actually pretty simple. let's just play through the chord order, starting off on A minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And before we put this together with the strumming pattern, there's one part where it's different, and that's at the very end. Once we get to our D, add 9, add 11 chord, we're gonna play. So it's really simple. We just go root, then we play 3 down ups on beat 2, 3, 4, and then we play a big downstroke on beat 1. I'll count it out. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then here, we can just mute it and just do some of that, just some muted hits. I'm just lightly touching the strings. And that's what he does before he goes into the chorus in the live version, just to, I guess, add some percussion. Anyways, when you're ready, we can put this entire section together with the strumming pattern, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so there's just a couple parts left here. The chorus is really simple, just 4 chords. We don't even need any new chord shapes, we already know them. So let's try out the chord order really quick, starting off on E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once again, we have a measure where there's 2 beats of G and 2 beats of D over F sharp. Just like in the verse, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna go root, up, root, up, down, up. So you should already know how to play that if you figured out the verse already. Anyways, this one's pretty simple, so let's just try it together with the strumming pattern now, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. right, so there's just one section left, that's the bridge, and there's no new chord shapes for this part. It's pretty straightforward, just strumming and some chords. There is a spot where we go G for 2 beats, D over F sharp for 2 beats. At this point, we should know how to handle it, just going root, up, down, up on each chord. There's also a point where it's E minor for 2 beats and D over F sharp for 2 beats. Just do the same thing. You know, same deal, just root, up, down, up on every chord where it's just for 2 beats. Aside from that, it's just chords and a strumming pattern. So let's try it all together now, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's how you play A-Team by Ed Sheeran, the live room version of it, where he's strumming instead of finger picking. And remember that Capo 2 is the original recording. Capo 1 is the live room recording. You don't even have to put a Capo on if you don't want to. It just won't be in the same key as either of those 2 recordings. And take your time with this one. There's a lot of stuff going on, you know, nothing's too complicated, the chords aren't too complicated. But if you take your time, especially with that strumming, to really get a nice sound, you know, and experiment with that, that's when you're gonna definitely elevate your playing. Anyways, have fun with this one, and I'll see you next time.